It's time to predict the scores for game week 37 of this 2023-2024 Premier League season, the penultimate game week of this immense season that we've had. 13 fixtures to predict this coming game week. Last week in game week 36, with 4 players sharing the top spot. They were Daddy Cool 52, Yao Form VP, summer of 2018, and Blue Orbit, and they all came away with 13 points. How that affects the overall leaderboard now? Well, Joggett is still there, top of the shop, but his score is being closed down, and Yao Form VP is making a real late surge for the title. And just behind Yao Form VP is Blue Orbit. But we move swiftly on to our first fixture, Fulham against Manchester City.
Yeah, so starting off at midday on TNT, Man City, realistically, 2 more victories and they've won the title, haven't they? They're lucky because they've got that game in hand over Arsenal, haven't they? Fulham, bit of a dead rubber now, getting the odd draw here and there, but everyone knows which way this one's going towards the end of the season. 2-0 Man City. 2-0
Man City, yeah, they've got 2 fixtures this coming game week. 20 games now in the Premier League without defeat. 16 wins and 4 draws. Nuts. Sort of the wheels are turning. 6 wins on the bounce as well. Fulham currently in 13th position, just the 1 win in their last 6 matches and back-to-back draws, creditably against Crystal Palace and London affair, and prior to that another London affair where they drew 0-0 with Brentford. So for me, it's got a Man City win written all over this one, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 away victory. Next up, we got the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. A very difficult one to predict, this one. Bournemouth against Brentford. Bournemouth, 2 wins in their last 6. And Brentford, okay, they kind of dropped off a little bit like a stone, but they sort of redeemed themselves, even though they're just the 2 places above Luton, who were in the last of those relegation spots. But realistically, it's between Nottingham Forest, Luton and Burnley to go down. So Brentford, last time out, it was a draw against Fulham. In this one, I think it's going to be very tight. Could go either way, but I'm going to go for a Cherries win in a 2-1 home victory.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a Cherries victory as well. I think Brentford, now that they've secured their survival, they're going to be on the beach. So, yeah, another solid Bournemouth victory for me there. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we've got Everton against Sheffield United. Sheffield United have breached the 100 goals conceded mark, which I can't even remember the last time that's happened, which is terrible. And they're coming up against Everton, who are in ridiculously good form. Just loads of wins on the board. I think they've won 4 of their last 6, which is very good. So for that reason, 3-0 Everton.
Yeah, disappointed Everton came away with just a 1-1 draw against Luton. Luton, though, scrapping, fighting for their lives. Sheffield United is done and dusted. You know, they do have some decent players at Bramall Lane, but coming up against this Everton side, full of confidence at the moment. You know, especially after that victory in the Merseyside derby. So I can only see 1 winner in this one, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 Toffees win. Next up, we got Newcastle coming up against Brighton. Newcastle, form has turned around of late, back up to 6th position, chasing down 5th place Tottenham. An absolutely phenomenal win against Burnley, and we know that some Burnley fans are a little bit deluded, thinking they're going to win with that one. But no, they got smashed in the end, and that last goal by Burnley was a bit of a consolation. Prior to that, it was a 5-1 demolishing of the Blades as well. In this one, I think it's going to be goals galore. I think there'll be 5 goals. However, I do think Brighton will score. They did manage an excellent 1-0 home victory against Aston Villa. Really surprised by that result, but I am going to go for a Newcastle 4-1 victory.
Yeah, I'm going to go pretty much exactly the same. I'm going to go 3-1 to the Geordies. They've just been on fire, haven't they? Brighton, they'll sneak a goal, but with the way that Newcastle are playing and the fact they're still able to creep down a decent Europa League spot and maybe even breach into 5th against Tottenham, considering they're in poor form. Yep, got to go for it. Next up, aside from that, speaking about Spurs, awful form, they're coming up against Burnley. Now, if Burnley lose this weekend and also Nottingham Forest get a result, well, if Forest win, then Burnley are down automatically anyway, but if Forest lose, Burnley have to get all 3 points to even be within a run-in on the final day of the season. I don't think that's going to happen. Spurs are going to turn it around and get a victory here, 2-1.
Spurs at the moment 4 losses on the bounce.
Really poor.
Yeah, it's terrible, really, especially with the amount of quality attacking threat they've got. And we know we've got a few issues in defence at the moment with injuries, etc. But coming up against a Burnley side who, prior to getting smashed 4-1 against Newcastle, were on a decent run. They can still escape relegation, but it looks highly unlikely now. So I am going to go for a Spurs win. I think Burnley will put up a fight, but I think Spurs at home in London will take all 3 points in a 2-1 victory. Then we move on to another London team who got smashed recently. Dear oh dear, West Ham. Awful. What has happened to them? 1 win in the last 6. A 5-0 thumping against Chelsea of all teams in that last fixture, although Chelsea doing alright at the moment. Coming up against a Luton side who were scrapping for their lives. They did get a 1-1 draw in their last fixture at home against Everton. This one, really, Dave Moyes, he's leaving at the end of the season. Breaking news in the last day or so.
Yeah, Lopetegui replacing.
But West Ham, they've got to give something, especially after being defeated 5-0. If I was a West Ham fan, I wouldn't be happy with that. But I think Luton scrapping for it, I think it's going to end up all square in a 1-1 scoreline.
Yeah, plus the thing you've got to look at as well with Luton is it is also out of their hands. So if Forest win this weekend, Luton are actually down themselves as well. So I think in this one, I'm going to give it to West Ham. Obviously, going to have a bit of a bounce that now the Moyes announcements come out. So let's go 1-0 to West Ham. Anyway, moving on to two teams that are in decent form, of course. Minus, obviously, Wolves. Crystal Palace getting that ridiculous 4-0 against Manchester United.
Could have been more
just
as well.
Absolutely woeful. And then Wolves, 1 win in 6. Pretty much on the beach aside from that, aren't they? But Glasner, he's going to have the team fighting again. I think Wolves will score though, however, so let's go 2-1.
Yeah, can Wolves bounce back? They'll want to do something after was smashed really by Man City 5-1. They got a decent enough squad there, but coming up against a Crystal Palace side full of confidence. Palace currently in 14th position. It's been 4 wins in their last 6 matches, absolutely destroying Man United. They could have had about 5 or 6 in that fixture. I think it's going to be a lot tougher against Wolves. Wolves at Molineux can be really difficult to play against, but as you said, Crystal Palace full of confidence going forward. It looked like, there's goals all over the pitch from Palace, and I think they'll come away with a 2-1 win in a narrow victory. Next up, we've got Nottingham Forest coming up against Chelsea. This is the match where Nottingham Forest could cement their place in the Premier League next season. However, they're coming up against resurgent Chelsea side, currently in 7th position.
They're in okay form, really, aren't they?
I'd say they're in decent form. Who they've beaten, even Spurs 2-0, Everton a 6-0 thumping, a 5-0 thumping of West Ham in this one. Forest, they're going to have the crowd. There'll be a full house there at the City Ground. But I think, actually, I won't change my mind. I'm going to go for a Chelsea 2-1 away win. There's been difficulties with their defence, Chelsea, but I think the quality of them going forward, I'm going to give this one to Chelsea 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Chelsea 2-1 as well, meaning it is going to go down to the last day of the season for survival. There's going to need to be a big swing between Luton and Forest, but I think it'll come down to the last day between those two. So let's go 2-1 to Chelsea. Anyway, moving on. Sunday, 4:30, Man United against Arsenal. We know where this is going. It could even be a lot more with the way they're playing. 4-0 Arsenal. No, we've got to have some sort of reaction from the Red Devils. That's not happening, though.
An embarrassing 4-0 defeat away against Crystal Palace. Ten Hag, whether he survives beyond the end of the season.
It's not Ten Hag's fault, I think.
Probably not, but they have got a lot of injuries. Maguire now until June, so that's his season gone. Whether he'll be ready for the FA Cup final, we don't know. It'll be touch and go for Maguire there, but there's only going to be one winner in this one. It's going to be Arsenal. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. They have to win this one because Man City are like a train, just going to go past them otherwise. Next up, we got the Monday fixture between Aston Villa against Liverpool. Really hard one to predict. We know that Liverpool haven't been that great away from home this season. In their last match, it was goals galore with that 4-2 victory against Spurs. Spurs at the moment, not sure what's going on with them. Villa losing against Brighton last time out. So I'm going to have to go for a draw on this one, 1-1, especially as it is at Villa Park.
Yeah, especially the fact it's at Villa Park as well. And in fact, if Villa win this one, they are secured in the Champions League for like the first time in 20 or 30 years, I think. So, yeah, they're going to be well and truly up for it. Liverpool in patchy form, going to take advantage of it. So 1-0 Villa. Anyway, moving on, Spurs against Manchester City. Man City have the chance to leapfrog Arsenal. You know which way this is going. Tottenham in shocking form, 2-0 Man City.
Yeah, this is the game where Man City should slide past Arsenal on a well-greased rail. Spurs, 4 defeats on the trot, and if we get that prediction on the weekend correct, then it'll be 5. I think Spurs will score, especially at home. Man City's defensively, okay, not the best in the division. They are the second best. So I'm going to go for another thumping 4-1 to Man City. Then we move on to Wednesday evening where Brighton take on Chelsea. Chelsea was in decent form. Brighton at home is probably stronger. Touch and go, this one will be a tight match, but I am going to go for a Chelsea 2-1 away victory.
Interesting. I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 here, just because of the way that Brighton played against Villa. Had a lot on the line.
Well.
Did really well. To he's going to have them playing right till the end, and to be honest, I think it's too little too late with Chelsea pushing into the Europa League spots. So yeah, for me, 1-1 draw. Anyway, and finally, Man United against Newcastle. Wrong time to play Newcastle, isn't it, for Manchester United? How many is it going to be? I think they will score though. Let's keep it modest and go 4-1 to the Geordies.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go less than that. I'm going to go 3-1. Yeah. If you look at that midfield that they put up against Crystal Palace, even the likes of Ericsson was starting.
He was
in there. He hasn't played much. He's been a long time injured, that sort of stuff. Casemiro doesn't look himself. He looks
Mainu wasn't great either.
Disinterested. The keeper. Yeah, a 3-1 away victory to Newcastle. Wilson's back amongst the goals, as well as Isaac, who's on fire at the moment. So that concludes our predictions for game week 37. Make sure you leave your predictions over at the Superbru website. Of course, the championship is over, Cardiff City, all the vlogs. We've got 1 week to go, but Nathan, is there anything else you'd like to add?
We've got a manager who's going. Who's going to be the next one?
It's got to be Ten Hag, hasn't it?
I don't think it will be, unless the Tuchel rumours are true. But
Tuchel or Burnley go down, will Company stay? He did a great job when he was in the Championship. If he fancies it again down there, if he doesn't, then we could be saying bye-bye Vincent.
We very well could be. Even another one to look at, potentially Forest boss in Nuno Espirito Santo. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Yeah,
thanks for joining us once again. Next week's video is going to be pre-recorded, so look out for that one very, very shortly. 6 shots, straight to the face, and I wanna get lost. I'm sick of this place, don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking